Welcome to the Stronghold Podcast, where we explore capability and truth. I'm your host, Dave Barton, and today in episode 36, we are going to talk about healing. Recently at a men's coffee, I was talking with my friend Jerry. We were discussing life, and all the healing work that I had been doing lately came up. Addressing the wounds, going back into childhood, marriage, parenting, career, writing, podcasting, and more. In the discussion, Jerry stopped me and asked, "Why do all this?" He could tell the process was wearing on me. It was difficult, and saw a friend who was hurting. After the question, he said, "Look at you. You're in shape. You're a great guy. You have an amazing family. Why do all this?" The question caught me by surprise. I had never really put to words why I was seeking healing. I had never really even thought about the story. I just felt like I needed to heal and start it. So why do all this? I shared a somewhat all over the place explanation. It contains some coherent thoughts and a bit of others. But when I got home, I sat with that for a few days. Why was I pursuing healing? And why did it matter to me? At 49 years old, I am in good shape. I treat people well, and I do have an amazing family. As late as September of 2024, I would have agreed with Jerry. Sure, there are things I could work on, and being an analytical person, there are always things that I'm breaking down and building back up. But in 2024, I had decided to bookend my previous 48 years and start writing a new chapter of my life. It would be a story of triumph and drive. The first chapter of this new book started great. I found forged ferocity and was surrounded by a community of people determined to level up and help others do the same. Later in that summer, I got to meet many of these amazing humans at Guns and Geese. We rolled jujitsu, shot pistols, broke bread, podcasted, and stayed up late solving the world's problems. I can truly say I've forged friendships that will last a lifetime. Friendships I desperately needed. Physically, I completed a half marathon, full marathon, 100-mile bike ride, and successfully navigated a 7-day dry fast. We'll put a few of those in the mental column as well. In the midst of all this, I also attended a men's retreat called Wild at Heart. 4 days of being unplugged in northern Minnesota, in nature, and in connection with God like I had never been before. The time provided deep reflection on my life. And for a guy who was starting a new chapter, I was in a state to reflect on life, in a state to receive new guidance. I've discussed it on prior podcasts, but we covered many things at the retreat, including past wounds we had experienced in life, forgiveness, ways that we are posers or false selves in response to those wounds, and a new word I had never really thought much about: identity. When we discussed wounds and identity, we covered how the world can assign labels to us as we experience hurt. Some of those include: you are not enough, you are too much, you are what's in your bank account, you are your title at work, or you are not a priority, among many others. The two that resonated with me were: you are not enough and you are not a priority. At the time, I thought the obvious. As a child of divorce, I had two parents that were very wrapped up in their own self-interests. And as business owners, very consumed in work. The potential for me to feel like I wasn't enough to get their attention and love, and not a priority over their business, seemed obvious. It even seemed a little rational. So where did healing come in? The weekend provided a fire ceremony called the Yellow Passport. One of the nights, all of the men at the retreat sat around a fire, and on a yellow piece of paper we wrote down the false names that our worldly wounds had assigned us. Then one by one we all stood up, read the identities, and then burned the yellow paper in the fire. Then we wrote on a white sheet of paper the name or names that we heard God had for us. Although somewhat difficult and very emotional, that was it. I was healed from these lifelong wounds. Or was I? I sincerely thought I was. That I had experienced healing, and although traumatic, I was a new man. I went home, and after 4 days, I even joked that I had underwent 4 days of counseling. With that boost of truth and healing, I went on to hit my marathon goal and complete the 7-day dry fast. No doubts, empowered, and full of the new identity I had received from God that weekend, the identity of King. In the midst of marathon prep and the dry fast, I sat down with the very first guest on my podcast, Jen Becker. In episode 3, Servant's Heart, we discussed many things, including serving others, how God speaks, and identity. There was that word again. I shared my Wild at Heart experience, the identity work, and the new title, King. Jen works with an organization called Identity Exchange, and although we covered it, identity still didn't mean much to me. After all, I had healed my identity issues. Remember? She did leave me with another question, though. She asked, King, in what ways? And I have sat with that question for months since. Initially, I had some answers. But when they were coming out of my mouth, most of them seemed like questions, meaning they didn't quite hit right. With all that in mind, I went on to have massive success with the marathon and dry fast, as I mentioned, even stating that after, if it wasn't 3 hours plus running or 7 days of no water or food, what could I even have to stress out about? I felt empowered, supercharged, and had massive momentum in this new chapter of my life. It was right about this time that my career would challenge all of this. In September of 2024, we went through a restructure that was sprung on us seemingly out of nowhere. Old leadership left or was removed, and admittedly, they were not good fits. They had come from outside our organization via acquisition. But the new leadership came in. They had their people from other teams, and they restructured our organization into new pillars. My team and peers received the new structure and pillars at the same time. I use the word receive purposely because we were not consulted and we were not included. My entire team was dispersed across new teams with new leaders, leaving me back as an autonomous contributor, tasked with providing my worth and my place. My place ended up being our worst product in the portfolio. And there I was again, not enough and not a priority. 17 years with the same company, builder of an extremely successful and loyal analytics team, and coming off some of my best performance reviews ever. Autonomous contributor of something nobody else wanted. And I got low. I felt rejected, confused, angry. Back to my old identities of the world. So why do all this? Great question, Jerry. I know now the reason I am doing this is desire and ramifications. My desire is to walk in my God-given identity of King. And my soul's desire is to have love for myself and the world, as I did coming out of that men's retreat last September. But I also saw the ramifications if I don't seek healing. I saw the ugly truth that I wasn't healed. And something like people who didn't care for me at all in a company that cares only for profit could impact my identity and bring me right back down to the trenches. And relatively easy, too. The ramifications were I could easily see love, beauty, and potential in all my friends, but could not consistently see this in myself. Depending on how I was received externally, how I performed up to titles that I valued like husband, father, friend, leader, or man of God. That determined my worth and how much I believed in my own love, beauty, and potential. How much I even believed that salvation was available for me. And that is the answer to why do all this. Because operating from that space, although common in society, is damaging and potentially dangerous. And it needed to stop. Listeners of the Stronghold Podcast and anyone who knows me has likely heard me discuss the mind, body, and soul connection, often in the analogy of a three-legged stool. And that analogy works. As you develop in any of those areas, you also need to develop the others. Otherwise, life gets a little off balance. The other beautiful thing is that as you develop in one area, it provides a blueprint for the other legs. Take my marathon, for instance. This addressed body mostly, some mind. It was a large endeavor, requiring it to be broken up into smaller steps. It provided unforeseen challenges, including injuries, rehab, and a weather cancellation prolonging the timetable of the marathon itself. But when I conquered myself and completed it, a 7-day dry fast seemed feasible, and I set up a successful plan for this next endeavor by following that same marathon blueprint. The mind, body, and soul connection is real. It's inherent in all of us, and the three-legged stool analogy works and is truth. But it leaves out a crucial component: heart. So what do I mean by heart? I've already said that I could easily see the love, beauty, and potential in all my friends. A big part of most days is focusing on being default loving, showing empathy, and trying to see things from others' point of view. But when I really felt the conditional nature of love for myself, it hit. And it hit hard. I had proven late in my life that I could reclaim my physical ability, walk close with God, and foster wisdom that others truly valued. I could speak truth and become more capable. I even started a podcast about it. I shared that I had the Forge team and was surrounded by a community of people determined to level up and help others do the same. It was with this group through which I developed a mantra for my life, that I would bring value to all my interactions in life, whenever possible. But there was a problem. Wounds of the past, conditional authenticity, and acting from an injured state were preventing this. When I took a deep look within, I was what my friend Greg calls an energy vampire. An energy vampire is the person who walks into a room, participates in a group, or you meet socially and they require things. Affirmation, attention, or validation. In worst case scenarios, they feel entitled to these and get passive aggressive or overtly aggressive. I don't think I acted from these areas much, but I was depending on the external to drive the love and value that I held for myself. So, however quiet, unintentional, or expressed, I was sucking energy out. And that was unacceptable. So, how to fix this? Fortunately, there is a dynamic to another saying that my friend Greg lives by. Nobody is coming to save you. Some might question that. Christians might say, well, Jesus came to save us. But the dynamic is this, that before anybody can come to save us, we must first want to save ourselves. We must first see value in ourselves worth saving. The wins and triumphs of 2024 provided clear value. The amazing humans in my life reinforced it. The lows I was feeling, being an energy vampire, and the conditional love I had for myself were irrational. I wanted to be saved. I truly wanted to save myself. And then it happened, the reveal. The reveal was that as I was working on the three-legged stool, building myself up, loving others, and putting immense effort into multiple endeavors, God was working too. He was placing people, friends, opportunities, and resources into my life. Some of those include my wife and sons, who provide me with love and appreciation daily. They also provide me with life missions to be the best husband and father I can be. God was also placing friends into my life, of who I will not name because I don't want to leave anybody out. But these friends would provide something vital going forward. Need for authenticity. That we could be in relationships together and grow as our authentic selves. Because like me, they had been hurt by acting not enough or too much. God even placed two pups named Echo and Forge in my life. I can see how much love I am filled with today because they sense it, and they draw close to me because it comforts them. But all of this would start with heart. In my life today, I want to take the time to thank three people when it comes to healing my heart and this recent path. First, my wife, Michelle. Every endeavor needs a muse. Outside of being a modern-day version of an ancient tribal healer, she is the love of my life. She is close to me, a part of me, my soulmate. In her, I can gauge how I am treating myself, how I am loving myself. The next two people remind me of the quote, "When the student is ready, the teacher appears." So, second, Jen. From our first podcast on the servant's heart, you have impacted how I will move forward as a king. To answer your question in this moment, king, in what ways? Builder, plus leader, plus elevator of others equals king. Those are words from God, from my heart, in truth. You are a literal force of nature, and your heart for humans is contagious. Thank you for your constant motivation, knowledge around identity, and your growing friendship. Anybody who encounters you is blessed. Finally, Tyler. Thank you for your growth, your bravery, and your gift to move beyond the warrior, beyond life's hurts, and to pursue truth. We shared together how very few words are required when they hold truth. And although we have only talked briefly, your direction for me on my path has proven critical and bountiful. Thank you for sharing your ancient wisdom and friendship. Actually, there's one more thank you. Thank you to my soul for rejecting things that I was pursuing that took me out of line. and for your fiery desire for me to love myself. With their help on the healing path, the strides across the three-legged stool mean something. They aren't just boxes to check, they are tests. Tests because some of the challenges will be large and I will fall short. Left with just mind, body, and soul, I could find myself right back in those old identities. But with heart and true love for myself, I will endure. I will walk as king. I truly love myself. I love the man that I am. I love the husband I am. I love the father I am. I love the friend I am. Wherever I find myself, and whatever the external world may bring, internally my heart burns strong with love. And it is this fire that I find burns off those false identities that the world tries to assign. It is with love that I will pass the test of this world. That is the endeavor. Healing. Lifelong commitment to heal myself, to love myself, and to burn brightly as a force, not an energy vampire. So, I'm healing all the time, 24/7, 365, always going through the fires? No. In fact, I enjoy more, I love deeper, and I crave life more than ever now. But when there is healing to be done, the big dragons of emotions and wounds of life, I don't run. I grab those blueprints, I open myself to healing, and I pick up my sword and fight. As we will likely discuss in future episodes, I have been shown and remembered ways to heal. Included so far have been deep forgiveness, understanding of anger, and recently an insidious emotion of apathy being removed from my life. There has also been unexpected and miraculous physical healing, but that may be for future episodes. Or it may remain among me and my loved ones. So that's it. That's the answer to why do this. I have already seen how much healing has helped me, my family, friends, and community, and I'm confident it will continue to help others on their paths of healing as well. We are called to so much more in life and capable of so much more than we are led to believe. So love yourself, seek your value, hang on to it, and heal. I'll finish with one of my favorite quotes from Morgan Harbor Nichols. Fall in love with the masterpiece and also the paint on the floor. And as always, thank you for joining me and listening into the Stronghold Podcast.